Hey guys, welcome back. Better Than a Let's Play Season 2, Episode 31. I'm Enigmius, and today, everything that looks neat and does nothing. This is the Nothing Factory, and if you think I'm kidding, oh, just wait. I'm running out of oxygen. We're probably going to have to run in and get fresh tanks. What are you going to do? As promised, after the last episode, I went and I redid our wind turbines and added some extra ones. On top of that, no, they're not working. The Tesla coils aren't working. Everything, it was the strangest thing because I logged in to get started getting ready for the episode and none of these guys were turning, but the Tesla coils were like zapping the laser beams up in the air and these guys were zapping the laser beams to say they were receiving. It was very exciting and I said, as long as it's zapping, I don't care if they're turning. And then I had to log out and back in a few times to try and get some other things working, and now these are spinning but there's no zapping. It's the endless cycle. I guess what I'm saying is that at any given time, 60% of what I'm working on works, and the other part doesn't. So then I log out and back in, and a different 60%, with some overlap, of course, will work, and 40% won't. And it just kind of revolves around. It's like the lottery. I never know from 1 second to the next whether one system is going to work or it's going to be the other one. It's kind of crazy. So we've still got our big gears connected to big water turbines, turning these electric generators, producing electricity, being sent down this way. And now, instead of being sent through a Tesla coil, it's being sent to this electric generator down here. It's very loud, so we're not going to stay there for very long. You can see those are metal gears. They're not solid, but they are connected to the conveyor belts that are going up that way. We're going to go over here where it's not so loud. So that might leave you wondering, what's this Tesla coil down here doing? Nothing. It's not actually connected to anything, but it thinks it's receiving 87.44 kilowatts and thus shooting up in the air. Because you see what I did in the name of things that look cool, maybe over the top, that do absolutely nothing, is we used to have a Tesla coil here at the end of this line of wire, and then I was going to receive into this Tesla coil here. So it was literally, the energy was going from here to here via Tesla coil because it's got the cool animation. But unfortunately, it wasn't transmitting enough electricity for the motor to work. So I had to connect it hardwired in order to get the motor to work properly. There's a piece of redstone down there. We're going to grab that because we can never have too much redstone. So it was kind of a mess. I have to say, it was kind of a mess. It was sort of a strange thing. And so I've left this Tesla coil here that's not connected to anything, nor is it receiving from anywhere, any other Tesla coil. You can see none of these guys are receiving, none of those guys up there are sending, and those are the only three that are set to send, and they're not. So this guy, he's getting phantom energy from somewhere. I don't know. It took me a while just to get the conveyor belts to work. I have to say, this was what I was logging out and back in, trying to get sorted. The conveyor belts, this is all part of resonant induction, by the way. The conveyor belts are like micro blocks. You set them down, and then you've got your screwdriver, and you can rotate them around just by right-clicking on them, and the arrow kind of shows you which direction the belt is going to go. And then you can also shift right-click and have them go up on an angle or down on an angle or be up high here. I don't know if you could have like two, or not 100% on why you would have it set this way, but it's an option. It's there. I'm sure someone could figure something out. And then it basically acts like a pipe, like you might connect and then you put items on it. and it sends them along the conveyor belt to various different destinations. That's the whole idea. And you have to connect it to mechanical energy, which is why we've got the gears over there, sending it up sort of the hill to the thing. You get the idea. The idea was that we were going to have stuff kind of blomped onto the conveyors and just kind of go on a conveyor ride for a while. And it was going to be all part of the Nothing Factory, where items get dumped onto conveyors and sent on a ride to nowhere. That was the whole idea. I'm not sure if it's stable enough at this point to rely on it to actually do that, because what we don't want is several hundred entities or more dumped into one spot on a conveyor belt and then just sit there until they despawn. Speaking of which, we don't want to run out of oxygen either. This is the part of the base where things work, fortunately. Otherwise, we'd be in very serious trouble and not having any fun at all. So we'll just get these guys refilling. We got a nice break from the loud, evil machines. So that guy's still receiving from nothing. Maybe the Martians are sending him something. So I don't want this thing in a position where the conveyor belt is basically being inundated with items that don't ever go anywhere. It's very important that they actually move along the conveyor belt. But the conveyor belt, well, I'll show you what the plan was. You see that item over there beside the chest? This is a manipulator right there, and it's basically the equivalent of like a wood pipe from Buildcraft. It exists for the purpose of extracting items from inventories and also depositing items into inventories, as far as I can tell. And it seemed like this would be a decent solution. What I had originally tried was this dropper. I don't even know. That's not what I hit. Where there it went. There. Really, really cheap and easy to make. It's like any kind of cobblestone you can find, and a redstone makes this dropper. And then with the dropper, you give it a redstone pulse, and it ejects an item. And you just keep giving it pulses, and it keeps ejecting, and life is grand. But we would have had to figure out a way to feed the dropper reliably. Not necessarily a problem, not necessarily difficult. But when it was dropping onto the conveyor belt wasn't doing anything with it. Even though that's supposed to be the thing with the conveyor belt, is you're supposed to be able to just go like this and toss an item onto it, and off it would go. It's so loud. I think it's the manipulator that's making all that noise. But you see what I'm getting at? You put the items on and it doesn't do anything. And that's how the dropper was basically depositing it. And we had to abandon that because it wasn't working. So I looked into this manipulator, which, why did I break this? Did I break this? Maybe it was in a blind rage that I don't even remember. So I made this manipulator. Now, unfortunately, I had set up all this wonderful redstone circuitry to produce a redstone pulse for the dropper, and I decided to leave it here just to see what would happen. Now, this thing is set now to auto pulse, so it'll create its own redstone pulse, and it doesn't appear as though you can alter the frequency of that pulse. It just pulses at whatever speed it's going to pulse at, and if you don't like it, that's tough. So to give you an idea, we'll just put 12 guys in here, and this is how fast it ejects when it's on its own auto pulse. It's going to dump all 12 of them that are just going to sit there on the conveyor. I don't know why they don't move on the conveyor. But that's what it does. It just kind of blops them on there, unless you give it a redstone pulse, and we can even leave it on auto pulse. And this is actually kind of funny. This is the kickstart button for my little redstone circuit. You can see this is just a bunch of redstone repeaters set to the full length to alter the length of the delay from the time it receives the signal to the time it sends it. You just right click on it, that means it's the shortest delay, and that's the longest delay, and then you've got like 3 values in between. So we've got 4 of them, and the reason why we do that is we're trying to create our own extended delay so that the pulse goes in, and it takes a while to come out, and then when it does come out, it lights this, which sends a signal over to that guy, but it also sends a signal back around to the beginning that starts the whole thing all over again. So one pulse becomes a constant redstone pulse that just goes and goes and goes until something goes wrong, the chunk unloads, you do something stupid like break a block or something like that. Very, very simple circuitry to build, and highly effective. It would have been nice if we had like a timer block or something, but we don't. And most importantly, this is what it looks like when we give it a redstone pulse like that, because it appears, you see how it's not like just a flash pulse, it stays on for a period of time. It seems that as long as it's on, this thing checks every tick to see if it's receiving a pulse, and if the answer is yes, it just starts barfing, blah, like 1 per tick kind of thing. So that didn't work either. We can't do the redstone pulse. But it'll keep going. It'll just keep going like this forever and ever and ever. And if I connect something to it over there with the thing there, then it'll work with the pulse, and hooray. So that's basically been like the whole thing. And now I was so fixed on how I was going to design this and where it was going to go, and it was going to turn and go up and then down and then turn and then up and down and over and around, almost like a roller coaster for blocks. Oops. Yeah, the crafting. We're going to craft that spider to death. And that's sort of, I think I'm going to take another look at what's available to us. I think that this is the end of resonant induction for us. I think it's kind of demonstrated that it's going to involve a lot of time, not just learning a mod that doesn't come with adequate documentation, but learning what's working properly and what's a bug. That's sort of like if it was working fine without documentation, I can muddle my way through it and sort it out. That's my thing. That's what I do. When it's documentation is sorely lacking, it's just changed hands as far as I can tell recently. The original developer has said, bah, and passed it off to other people to take over development, and it looks like maybe there's some action going on there, but right now it's just too inconsistent and unreliable. And I'm gonna say this, and this is actually going to be rolled into an editorial that I'll be doing in the not too distant future. This is what really bothers me about this situation, is that if you want to download the latest version of Resonant Induction, or at least when I was trying to get this working and learn how it worked at the very start, I decided, let's make sure I've got the most recent version of this mod so that I'm dealing with the fewest bugs possible. Ideally, that's the situation that we hope for. It came in 4 different parts, gated, each one gated behind AdFly links. Now, this is a mod that's included in the MoonQuest pack that was created for the Yogscast, for one of their series. And the big thing about the AT Launcher is that the AT Launcher respects AdFly. So if you want to give permission on the AT Launcher for people to use your mod, the AT Launcher can still force them through the AdFly to download your specific mod when they're downloading the mod pack. So we're talking about a pretty fantastic amount of volume being driven through this mod pack because of its association with the Yogscast. And then the mod developer decides, you know what, for the next iteration, the one that came with the mod pack is a single, but the next one is quadruple, so I'm going to get paid 4 times every time someone wants to download the latest version of this mod, which doesn't bloody work. That's what I have a problem with, is these guys want to play business operator. We're now mod developers for profit. We've got Patreon, we've got AdFly, we got all these things, and the community is behind us. So you know what, you dumb bastards, we're going to take advantage of you. We're going to bring in all the loots because you don't know better, and we're going to shovel shit out the door and tell you it's worth us getting paid for it, and it's not. So this is an open letter on behalf of all the people who don't like this crap to all of the mod developers to take some fucking pride in what you do. And if it's not done right, if you know it doesn't work, don't expect to get paid for it, because this is the kind of thing that's going to make people resent the hell out of you. That's my rant. That's my thing. We're going to do it a little bit more professionally and an editorial about the good things people do and get paid for, and the bad things people do and expect to get paid for, so we can kind of take a look at this discrepancy between little companies that do amazing stuff and make a lot of money, and little individuals that do mediocre stuff and want to get a lot of money. It's kind of an amazing comparison if you really get down to it. So I have to stop and figure out what we're going to do for the next sections. There's other mods that we haven't touched in this pack. I'm absolutely confident that we can continue with the Nothing Factory, although the nothing aspect might be reduced. We might actually have to build things that do something and look cool in the process, as opposed to things that ideally we're going to do functionally nothing, because it was just going to be like a roller coaster and then drop the atoms back off in the chest kind of thing. That's what the Nothing Factory was going to be all about, but we'll see what we can add. I think it might have something to do with a reactor of some sort, or perhaps some missiles, or, you know, some other fun things. And if you want to be notified when I add that video, the easiest way to do that is to subscribe to my channel. You can also follow me on the social media, Twitter and Google+. The links for both of those are in the information section below the video. Please leave your comments and feedback. They're always important, and I always read them. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care.